Thank you. Wow. Who knows someone that is expecting a baby at this moment? Oh, a lot of people, 20%, including me. Thank you. My second question is, who has or knows someone with a child under the age of 12 years old? Almost everyone, right? Thank you for your answers. Did you know that 65% of the children that are now younger than 12 years old are going to do something for a living that doesn't exist at this moment? 65%. So this means that there is a big chance that my unborn child, your nephew, or your niece is not going to follow the standard path of doing a course, getting a degree, finding a job, and then promote. And the big reason why is because technology is walking way faster than the current job profiles. Even Usain Bolt ain't got nothing on the speed of technology. See, technology is taking over all the basic tasks one by one, from driving a car to the way we pay our bills to the way we communicate with each other. But what technology cannot replace is our human touch. It's our power of imagination, our creativity, negotiation skills, faith, and love for each other and our planet. This is why I believe that if you really want to keep raising the bar, it's important to focus on a new skill set, which I call Tinkhustcularity. Tinkhustcularity has 3 skills in it. This is me when I was 4 years old, in the first group of primary school in Rotterdam, Delfshaven. As you can see, I'm holding a pencil and I'm practicing the first skill of the skill set, which is tinkering. Tinkering means experimenting by using your own imaginations without any master plan or a handbook. Just tinkering, just playing by doing. As a child, we were all constantly tinkering. Who recognizes these? Yeah, it's a carpet, playmat carpet. I remember playing with my action mans, trying to win a fiction war against each other, and then get away with a self-made Lego car, all on this playmat carpet. Wow, what a wonderful time with a lot of imaginations. But don't get it twisted, because tinkering is not only for children. We as adults can also still tinker. But I believe a lot of us forget how to tinker, because nowadays everything is so tightly planned, at home, at school, and at work. And a lot of us are also afraid to fail, and we want to do everything perfect. But let's take, for example, some artists from Rotterdam, who also just started by tinkering, like Broederliefde, Soufiane Touzani, or Yandino Osporat. Before Broederliefde scores a big hit, they start with a lot of jamming and humming on a beat. They're just experimenting. Soufiane Touzani tinkers a lot by just holding the ball up, trying to invent some new tricks. And Yandino Osporat tinkers by just making jokes and trying to imitate others. So tinkering is about experimenting without a specific goal. It's also the part where a lot of people laugh at your ideas or at your imaginations. As an entrepreneur, tinkering is one of my strategies to build up a business. 3 years ago, I started a boat rental company together with my girlfriend, just by tinkering. I received a Groupon gift from a good friend of mine, and he gave me a gift for a boat trip in Amsterdam. So my girlfriend and I went sailing for the first time in our lives. We didn't know anything about sailing, but we learned it just by doing. After a couple of hours, we were joking with each other. And we told each other how cool would it be if we could just sail to our own neighborhood with this boat. And suddenly it went from joking to the power of imagination, real quick. We looked each other in the eye and we asked each other if we could imagine having our own boat rental company. The answer was yes, and so we started to put in work. We both had saved 6,000 euros each to buy a car in the first place, but we decided to buy a boat and to build a website in order to realize our imaginations. After analyzing some other boat rental companies, I wrote a one-page business plan, put together a team with a lot of family members, and I went to the Chamber of Commerce. not knowing that things would blow up within 2 years. What started as tinkering has now led to an international high demand for our services, winning the RET Aardig Onderweg Award. I even had a conversation with our King Willem-Alexander and the President of Cape Verde. And right now we are working on world's first pleasure boats with built-in dirt trappers who will automatically clean the river while sailing. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Man, I didn't even dare to dream about all those beautiful moments before I started the company. But I believe that I've been able to experience it because I just started with what I can, what I know, who I know, and what Google knows. And believe me, that's a lot. I used the same thinker skills when I started a shoe company together with a good friend of mine back in the days. So back in the days, we both were kind of obsessed with designer sneakers. So while we were studying, we were working on the side just to buy those one special designer shoes. And it was a day in September 2014. My mom told me to go clean up my room. So I went upstairs, laid on the ground, and just started cleaning. While I was cleaning, I noticed that on the inside of the shoes, I constantly saw that the last 5 shoes that I bought were all made in Portugal. And this made me very curious, because I was really wondering why all the shoes that I bought, so the last 5 designer shoes, were all made in Portugal. Back in the days, I didn't know anyone who was active in the shoe business, so I decided to ask my best digital friend for some answers. His name is Google. Google told me that the reason why a lot of designer sneakers are made in Portugal is because of the craftsmanship, is because of the flexibility, the small minimum orders, and also because of the good working conditions. So I was analyzing on the web, and suddenly I thought by myself, I would really like to experiment if it's possible to start my own shoe brand. And so it went from curiosity to the power of imagination, real quick. Without a master plan or some designs, I decided to call my best friend and to tell him about this imagination I had. So I called my best friend, and his first reaction was, you want to start what? Because I asked him if he would like to start a shoe company together. He was like, you want to start what? But how are we going to do that? We don't have company money. So I decided to invite him to my parents' place so I can explain my ideas. So despite the fact that I don't have great design skills, as you can see over here, it was the very first draw. So I made some concept draws just to explain him about this imagination I had about starting a shoe brand inspired by the architecture of Rotterdam. After a couple of minutes, he was like, Wesley, cool, let's do this. Let's experiment. So the next day I called the Dutch embassy and I asked them if they could help us finding some manufacturers. 2 days after, they sent me a list of 40 potential manufacturers. I made one standard email and I sent them to all the 40 manufacturers. Only 10 of them responded, but 4 of them told us that we could pass by to explain our ideas. So back at that time, this was the only thing that we had. So I decided to search for a shoe designer who can make a technical design. And after that, we booked our flight to Portugal, not knowing if we would come back with a deal that would match our small budget. Fortunately, we found one manufacturer that was willing to giving us the opportunity to start our own shoe brand. And so it went from tinkering to launching our own shoe collection every year, winning the Phonics Media Business Award, and now we are also giving lectures and workshops to students in order to inspire them and to explain them how they can start their own shoe brand. Afterwards, I asked our manufacturer what his reason was to give us a chance to start our own shoe brand, because the other 3, they didn't give us a chance. And he told me that the reason why was because he saw a deep-rooted drive in our eyes, despite the fact that we don't have a big budget, but we showed him some grinding mentalities. So it was our mindset that gave us the opportunity to go from tinkering to setting up a business. And this brings me to the second skill, which I believe is important if you want to keep raising the bar and if you want to try to make a living out of your tinkerings. This second skill is hustling. Who recognizes these? Yeah, marbles, everyone, right? And these, flippos. Yeah. And who wanted to collect as much as possible marbles and flippos back in the days? Yeah, a lot of people. So there are a lot of young hustlers here tonight, or today. One of the young hustlers here today is my girlfriend, and I'm going to explain you why. When I was busy preparing this TED Talk, I asked her how old she was when she started hustling. She told me that she was 5 years old. Yeah, I was also laughing like that. I was like, 5 years old? She said, yeah, 5 years old. She told me that back in the days, during the flippos and the marbles time, she noticed that she wasn't good in playing marbles and flippos, so she lost a lot. But unless her losses, she was still eager to collect as much as possible. So she decided to do it in another way. Back in the days, her dad had bought her a new bike, and almost all the kids in the neighborhood wanted to make a ride on her new bike. So what she did was she decided to charge every person that wanted to make a ride with 1 marble for 1 minute. So while the other kids were playing marble games of 10 minutes, she was gaining exactly the same amount of marbles. See, this is what I call pure hustling at a young age. Because what she basically did was she used her instinct to turn her mindset from, do you have something for me, to, I have something else for you, and you're going to pay for it. She was thinking in possibilities, but still with a deep-rooted drive to reach her goal, which I believe is the key of hustling. See, to me, a hustler is someone who is trying to make a living out of his tinkerings, someone who feels comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And for example, let's take an artist who is a hustler. An artist who is a hustler is someone who does not only make music, but also someone who's trying to organizing his own events, someone who does a lot of merchandise, someone who's just constantly searching for the right collaboration in order to improve himself. So hustling is about creating an opportunistic attitude. This opportunistic attitude is becoming more and more important in this and in the next economy, because there will be less permanent jobs, less certainty, and more temporary contracts. So if you would like to survive in this and in the next economy, it's important to focus on developing on this new skill set, on hustling and opportunistic attitude. But tinkering and hustling are not the only 2 skills that are important. Because I believe that if you really want to keep raising the bar for the long term, you have to start thinking in a circular way. Which brings us to the third and last skill of the skill set, circularity. See, circularity to me means growing by giving back. And you can see that in 2 ways, personally or business-wise. Personally thinking in a circular way is about the deep-rooted drive what I was talking about during the hustle. See, my deep-rooted drive comes from the fact that my parents immigrated from Cape Verde all the way to Holland, searching for a better future for themselves, but also for me. And they gave me the opportunity to go to school, and they raised me with a belief that I can be whatever I want to be. So they made a big sacrifice for me, and I feel the responsibility for myself to give something back and to make them proud. And of course, there's no way that I can pay them back, but my plan is to show them that I understand. You got it. Thank you. Business-wise thinking in a circular way is about giving back the knowledge, the experiences, and the failures that I made during my journey. It's about creating synergy, and it's also about giving something back to the environment. See, it was business-wise thinking in a circular way that gave me the opportunity, or that gave me the idea to give something back to the rivers. And of course, there's no way that I can pay the river back for giving me the opportunity to sail on it. But my plan is to show her that I understand. See, people, I truly believe that if you really want to keep raising the bar for a long term, you have to start tinkering with a mindset of a hustler in a circular way. So if you want yourself and our future kids to walk next to technology instead of behind it, you have to keep focusing on developing on this new skill set, which I call think-hust-cularity. Who's with me? Yeah, thank you.